everyone, thanks for tuning back into the Irish Racing YouTube channel. Here with another edition of Formscan in association with Live Score Bet. We're going to be concentrating on a cracking card at Down Royal this weekend. Jumps really kind of getting back into action, and delighted to be joined as well by Paddy Flood to go through all the action over the next 2 days. We'll do Friday and Saturday and give a mention to a couple of races across both days. But Paddy, you looking forward to the action?
Yeah, really looking forward to it, Emma. I suppose Down Royal in the last few years has become a happy hunting ground for Gordon, and really doesn't send a whole pile there. But I think it's really made the meeting stand out on its own. I know we used to get Cato Stars and stuff there back in the day, and then we might have just had a few bleak years. But the fact Willie stays away and Gordon seems to kickstart his season here, it's great to see that the real winter horses coming back.
Yeah, and the ground will be interesting as well. They got very little rain over the last week or so in Downwell, but they've been watering it, so hopefully that won't cause any inconveniences to seeing these big horses coming out. But kind of you're mentioning Willie not having many. I think the first couple of races we'll talk about are Willie's only two runners, and we'll start off with the maiden hurdle, 12:25 on the Friday. Don't have odds for this one obviously, but just thought it was worth a mention. A couple of kind of big names coming back out here. The Yellow Clay obviously was a grade 1 bumper performance behind the Redemption Day in the Punchestown bumper at the end of last year. And Wingmen as well for Gordon was one he thought a lot about as well. And Willie has My Like in there, who's likely to be the main opposition to those two. But I suppose Jack Kennedy's out here, so a couple of big rides for Sam Ewing and Jordan Gainford. Kind of going by the bookings for the rest of the weekend, Sam Ewing seems to be on the first choice horses here. Paddy, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, Sam has picked up a lovely couple of rides there recently, and he is good enough to be anyone's first jockey, never mind second jockey to Jack, so you'd have absolutely no worries with that. I think Yellow Clay is obviously the pick in the maiden. His form, it's a good form. It's grade 1 bumper form. I gave Redemption Day my dark horse to you a couple of days ago, so if this guy can come out and do it easy, it'd be looking good for us. But the stablemate has a great chance. Has a really good chance. He's lovely pedigree, Cave Tara horse. They tend to jump well. Yellow Clay is by 8, so actually jump really well. But I think the Yellow Clay should win it, and it should set him up for them novices during the year nicely.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. It's normally a kind of a good starting point for Gordon Elliott novice. I think the likes of American Mike and Fury Road all won this in the past, and Gordon's won 8 of the last 9 renewals. Willie has My Like in there. He was a dual winner in France, I think. He's only had one hurdle start for Willie so far. He's been competing in a few big flat handicaps throughout the summer, so it does come with the fitness edge over the Gordon Elliott pair, but I'm kind of with you there. I actually was a big fan of Wingman though. Like he looked really, really awkward in a couple of bumpers there under Harry Swan last year. I think he ran twice in Naas. He won the first day. He was beaten the second day in a hot race behind William Money, but just kind of pulled his chance away that day. But looked a bit more relaxed in Punchestown then when he won at the end of the year. That was a bumper. I think it's produced Ballyburn, Tagman, Dysart, Dynamo in the last 3 renewals. So I think, look, he hasn't been kind of thrown into the deep end of bumpers like the Yellow Clay. He was kind of running in the grade 1s, like you mentioned. But I say Gordon might have been minding this fella last year. Interesting, he puts them against each other early on in the year over the 2 mile 6. But I'm a fan of Wingmen, but he'd have to be able to relax a bit better over this trip especially. But it'll be an interesting one to see how they both come out of that. But kind of more of a watching brief, I suppose. But we're going to the next race then. We'll skip the handicap for now. We'll give a fancy for that at the end. 1:30. The Feathered Lady Mares Novice Hurdle, grade 3 over the 2 miles. And again, the roll of honour for this one looks fairly well. I think the last 4 renewals in particular, all of them have kind of come out to be top class performers. And brighter days ahead most recently for Gordon, of course. We'll see her later on in the card. And he's likely to have the favourite in here as well in the same colours again. Speculatrix is near 9-4 under Sam Ewing again, picking up another nice ride. Paddy, do you think she's good enough to go on and win this one?
I think so. Was going to win the last day when falling. The Aintree bumper. It was the Aintree bumper, Sharon, wasn't it? That form looks good enough to go on and win this. Look, again, we might be saying a lot about Gordon Elliott's, and sitting here talking about Gordon's, but these are his firepower for the year, basically. For me, yeah, she is good enough to win that race. Yeah, like she did have a little tumble the last day, but look, she probably learned plenty from it.
Yeah, you'd think so. It looks a good big mare. As I say, she maybe just lost concentration. She was jumping right up until that point. I was actually a fan of Colin Murphy's one in here, though, to be honest, Savant. And she won her bumper and Punchestown fairly well. She and Colin was kind of talking highly of her after that. Went down then and disappointed in Killarney, which was a bit of a surprise, I'd say. But I was just reading quotes there earlier from Colin after she won in Tramore then after that on her hurdle debut, and he was kind of saying he kind of made a mistake running her there. So I'd say you could probably just put a line through that one. I just thought she was quite taken on both starts. On her hurdles run there, the front two, she beat a mare of Willie's, and they pulled miles clear the third, which is normally a good enough sign. She jumped really well. Yeah, I just thought she could be one to go on and improve from here. And Colin Murphy does really well with those mares as well, doesn't he?
The jockey booking is interesting too, Mark Walsh. You'd wonder, is there something coming down the line? If she did go and win, would she end up in JP's colours, like we've seen a couple of columns doing? So that could be an indication in it, yeah. But you're right, she looked a really good mare. Workforce can, sometimes they can be a bit headstrong and stuff like that. I haven't rode many, but just looking at them, but I would agree with you that, bar the disappointment, she'd be bang there. You just worry with that one run in between that it was a flop basically. But that looks a good race. Looks a really good race, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, one that controlled good mares. I didn't actually, cop that. Well, I knew Mark Walsh was riding, but yeah, it's not a bad point, I suppose. I think Impervious started in the same colours as well before JP bought her as well. So yeah, could be one to keep an eye on, depending on how Savant runs here. But I just think she's one with plenty of potential to improve. But yeah, it's a good race. Henry's mare in there as well, I suppose, totally unexposed, point-to-point winner. She won in Clonmel there a few weeks ago, and Royal Hollow was a good performer for the Slatteries as well. But Spellic I think that's how you pronounce it for you, is the fancy, but I'm going to go for Savant for Colin Murphy. But we'll go on to the feature race of the day then. We were kind of talking about brighter days ahead, and she shows up here again, same day, but a different race for her. Maybe a small bit of a surprise that she stays over hurdles, Paddy, but she was, I suppose, the standout mare. A bit of a shock. She was beaten in Cheltenham, but she came out then and kind of proved how good she was in Aintree, winning her grade 1 there against the boys.
I think Cheltenham, if they could probably go back, maybe I'm wrong, but she won her races so easy in Ireland. She never come off the bridle. She never got, into a battle. It was all very straightforward and I think she just got a little bit shell-shocked in Cheltenham. I think she went from cruising and, going down to the last cruising like she did in Ireland. And by the time she actually decided and Jack pushed the button, there was nothing there instantly. I think she was just a little bit shell-shocked, had a look up the straight, and all of a sudden she was passed. So you'd forgive her that run. You put that down to experience. She put it right in Aintree. Smashing mare. I did think she was going to go chasing. In my head now, she's such a lovely big mare. Everything about her suggests she jump a fence great. She jumps a hurdle really well. Look, if she's going to go on and be a superstar mare, she has to win this. But like you said, it's not as straightforward as it could be. This is something Willie has thrown one into. Daddy Longlegs, a bit of a horse that you can kind of forgive a couple of runs maybe. He was very, very impressive the last day. Jumped smashingly, and he probably didn't beat a great field. But if you're going back to his form, he's quite strong form, this horse, on ratings, he's better off at the weights. Yeah, she's going to have to go and beat this guy. She won't. It won't be just a canter around for her. Willie's lad's going to be fit, and I'm sure Gordon won't have the screw fully turned on the mare yet. So. Yeah, this is a watching race for me, really, and you're kind of hoping to see her, if she does go and win, to win it really well, and then become one of our next superstar mares. We've been throwing them out over the last couple of years, from Apple's Jade to the great mare Honeysuckle, and you'd be hoping this girl can follow on. But nah, it's a good race, and she's going to have to go some to beat Daddy Longlegs if he turns up in his best form.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned the fitness edge there. Like how much like obviously Gordon's gonna have her ready to go here, but like he'll obviously have to leave a little bit to play with later on in the year. So do you think that could play its part in the race? Like obviously you mentioned he's coming here with a few runs during the summer as well.
I think so. You know, I'd say Gordon hopes she's top class and she goes and wins, but you know, if she comes out and gets beat a half a length and length, he probably won't be too disappointed either. We don't really know how good Daddy Longlegs actually is. He could be very, very good. We know she's very, very good. But it's a great race. You know, if she does go and beat him and beat him well, then she's set up for a season basically. Wherever she's going to go, she's going to win. But it's going to be a tough race for her. Like you said, a mare like that with a long season ahead, you're not going to be turning the screw in her for her first run. Whereas Daddy Longlegs had been in Galway, things went wrong. He went to Tip, he won really well. So he has the edge on fitness. She could be classier, but you know, fitness can always come into it, and you know, he could make her work now.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking as well. Like, I suppose when I looked at the race first, I thought, you know, she should go out and win it well. But I kind of, I suppose I don't know why, but when I looked at Daddy Longlegs, I just kind of think, oh, he's a horse who he's disappointing ultimately. But like looking back to his form, you kind of mentioned it there. Like he disappointed once in Tipperary with no real excuse. The Galway run, I think you can put a line through that completely. Like he was left at the start. The way the race was won, he didn't really have much chance. And I think going back to this time last year, that he was beaten on real heavy ground in a Grade 1 hurdle, which they said he doesn't like. He gets his ground here. You mentioned he's well in at the weights, looking at their ratings, 150, 145. He's only given her a pound. He's coming here fit. Like it's going to be a tough ask for brighter days ahead. I agree with you there. And probably a watching brief here now, because you know she does have that superstar potential. But Daddy Longlegs is no slouch either. They were kind of mentioning him as potentially being a Grade 1 horse as well. So it'll be a fascinating contest, and Willie only has a couple of runners over the 2 days, but he's adding to the excitement definitely throughout the card. But we'll move on then.
I think he spiced up that race a nice bit. You know, she would have been long odds on without him, but it makes it a really good sort of contest now.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's well worth its title as the feature on the day anyway. But we'll have a chat then about the beginner chase at 3:15 and another one. Gordon starting kind of an exciting horse from last year in Firefox. Look, it's I think Gordon's won 7 of the last 8 here, and he likes to start a good novice chaser. I think Samco, Royale, and Mighty Potter, a few others have all won this one. And look, I suppose you'd like to think Firefox would have the measure of these based on his hurdle form. Paddy, you looking forward to seeing him back out?
Yeah, really looking forward to see this horse. He's a horse that I really liked all last year. His form was solid, as solid as you can get. I mean, he was probably a little bit unlucky in Cheltenham not to be closer. Really, he kind of ran out of room and went in and went out and hit the line really strong. Lovely horse. Looked like he will jump a fence. And yeah, I think he should be taking care of these very easily. With a clear round, he should be just too good for any of these.
Yeah, you'd imagine. So there's nothing in here with that kind of level of hurdles for him. Anyway, no reason why you shouldn't translate it, like you said. I suppose of the rest, Mossy Fen Park might follow him home. I'd say he's probably one Henry kind of minded last year. He was a point-to-point winner, I think, and he only went a few times. Henry kind of said after he won there that he was a horse for next year. So I'd say they didn't overexert him over hurdles, but you'd imagine Firefox would have too much for him here. We're going to move on to Saturday's racing, but before we wrap that up, I might ask, do you have any fancies for any of the handicaps on the day, Paddy?
Yeah, the earlier race, I think it's the 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Brant's
handicap hurdle 3 miles, yeah.
Yeah. Brant there, yeah. Just flicking through it, they're quite tough handicaps to kind of pick at now. But this one is just £13 better off over hurdles than it is over fences. So look, that suggests it has a little bit up the sleeve. Good trainer, good jockey. You know, they're shrewd, and since he's got his hands on him, it seems to be an improving horse. They'll be looking for that nicer handicap pot, and just look at a flick through. There's so many good horses up there that the handicaps nearly, you know, as they're great for betting races, you're kind of going, oh, there's a fair drop in class compared to what we're looking at on form wise. But that was just one I thought, you know, £13 better off. King Collins, Jordan Gainford, a very good combination. And look, I don't know what price it's going to run off at, but it's rated 91 over hurdles, so it has to have a great shout.
Yeah, I think he's around 6-1 on the tissue, so that wouldn't be a bad price. I was thinking the exact same lines. The handicaps are tough enough on the Friday, but Brant was one definitely stood out. I think he was rated 98 the last time he ran over hurdles in the UK as well, and the Irish handicapper has been kind enough to him, I suppose, a rating of 91 there. And like you said, King Collins, a man can improve a horse like this as well. So yeah, Brant, kind of an obvious one there, comparing his chase rate and to his hurdles rate. And so yeah, we're on the same boat with that one. But we'll move on to Saturday's racing, I suppose, the biggest action of the day. And I think we might just go straight into the big one here, the Ladbrokes Champion Chase. Grade 1, definitely the race we're all looking forward to watching most over jumps anyway this weekend, and 5 lining up for this one here. Last year's winner Jerry Colomb tops the betting at 4-7. Envoy Allen won this 2 years ago. Dario O'Keefe gets the ride on him, 3-1. And Hewick, a really interesting addition to it as well, under Jordan Gainford for Shark Hanlon. Look, again, big opportunities for Sam Ewing and Dario O'Keefe here with their normal stable jockeys not available. Jerry Colomb, I suppose, start off with the favourite. He wasn't maybe overly visually impressive winning it this last year, but he's probably a deserved favourite here, isn't he?
He is a deserved favourite. Look, he's a horse on the up, an 8-year-old. I don't think Jack was at his best on him last year. The stablemate was jumping a bit left, and Jack was kind of going to go around him, and he was just caught in two minds a couple of times when the race was just developing. Hewick's is a great addition, and I'm delighted he's in there, and it was whatever 15,000 to supplement him. He's had the run under his belt now. I've been his critic all along, but he just keeps proving me wrong. You know, he just keeps turning up and doing it. Envoy Allen, Dara O'Keefe. Again, Dara could be anyone's first jockey. He's a smashing rider. He's a great pair of hands. He's great balance. I think Envoy Allen could really give these a fright, to be honest. It's a track he loves. Look, he's not improving, but if he kept his level of form up there, he's going to be very hard to beat. Delta Work, you know, he's been Banks racing and stuff like that, so he's not the horse of old. I just wonder where this sort of speed is going to come from. Will it be Delta Work bouncing out in front and the lads following him, or would Jerry Coleman make his own running? Could Hewick make it? I don't know. If I was Dara, I would like to be getting a lead on Envoy Allen, switching him off. Maybe Sam thinks he's on the best horse and just bounces out. But Jerry Columbine, he should be winning this if he's going to win a Gold Cup. Do you know, if he's on the way up, if he's improved, he should be winning it. But I don't think it's a straightforward race for him.
No, it's a tricky little contest, and we're kind of talking about race fitness here as well. Like Hewick coming in there with the run under his back, like that could play a big part in this as well. Like he's only rated £5 inferior to Jerry Colomb. Like he, in fairness, you kind of mentioned that. Like I think everyone, like not just you, everyone kind of was saying maybe he was a bit lucky to win a few of the races he won. But I thought that like performance behind Faster Slow and Galloping Des Champs and Punchestown, like that really kind of was nearly as good as his King George when I thought. Like he was only beaten 3 lengths by the pair of those, like 2 of the best chasers in training. So him with a run under his belt here is definitely a significant addition. And like kind of mentioning Willie spicing up the racing, Shark has definitely spiced up this race big time. You kind of mentioned in our National Hunt Season preview there last week about Jerry Colomb's jumping. He spends a bit of time in the air. Do you think that kind of inconvenienced him a bit last year? Like, would they be hoping maybe he's learned a bit coming into his second season in open company?
Yeah, it's funny for us to say that he's such a good jumper, you know, but sometimes horses can be nearly too good. We don't want them show jumping their fences. you lose that bit of ground, a bit of time in the air, you know, and for every half a length or quarter of a length you lose in the air over 10 or 12 jumps, that all adds up, you know. So to be fair, he was better in Cheltenham. He was a lot better in Cheltenham. The thing here in Down Royal is with Hewitt, I don't look. He doesn't take your eye out jumping, but he gets made to be. They're quite big fences in Down Royal. They're quite big and they're quite stary, and I think it kind of suits Envoy Allen a little bit that he backs off and he breathes a little bit more, and he kind of focuses on his fencing rather than trying to run away with you, you know. Whereas Gordon's horse, he might just have to be chased along, unless he just bounces out and makes his own running. Because I don't think they want to turn it into a sprint, because I don't think he has a whole lot of kick in him. I think he's a great stayer. Envoy Allen has a bit of a kick in him. Hewitt has a bit of, you know, what we've seen in the King George was just freakish, how he got there and how he won. But I suppose I'm looking at it as if I was riding in it, and I'd probably jump the favourite out and roll along and set even fractions, and you're on the best horse, and try and go and win the race on the best horse, and don't try and complicate anything too much, you know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting tactically, I suppose. Darragh O'Keefe on Envoy Allen there as well. I suppose his first time riding him. You mentioned his track record. I think he 4 out of 4 before last year. He was only beaten a head or less even in this race last year. Is he a tricky horse to ride, do you think? I think watching him myself, like, things kind of have to go right for him. He can kind of get a bit grumpy or something if he hits a jump. Am I being a bit harsh on Envoy Allen, do you think?
I think he's quite a stressy horse, Emma, more than and a bit grumpy. I think he's all the ability in the world. He's that big, powerful body and engine, but I think he can kind of use up that a little bit too much with wanting to drag the rider, and sometimes he can get inside the wings of the fence and decide to go right or left, and that's just a little bit of a stressy thing. Dara, to be fair, is a smashing pair of hands. He's a lovely balanced rider. As I said, he's I love watching Dara ride, to be honest. So he could get the best out of this horse, and it's all about a rhythm in that sort of race. I mean, you need to be getting into a nice easy rhythm where your horse is breathing and has that kick late, you know, over that sort of trip. Sam's horse he's pretty much bulletproof, but if he does spend that little bit of time in the air and he's not fully wound up for it, I would say Envoy Allen is always fully wound up, because I'd say he works himself hard at home, you know. Hewitt will be fit. Yeah, like 8 to 13 shot, 3 to 1 Envoy Allen. I'd nearly be having a punt on Envoy Allen, really, at that price with his track record. He loves the place. Look, he's not improving, but if he keeps his form in Down Royal, it could be good enough. But if Jerry Colomb steps up a little bit, he wins, you know.
Yeah. And you kind of mentioned about Brighter Days Ahead. Gordon probably won't have him fully round up. So Envoy Allen, yeah, this could be one of the bigger races of his year. I can see the point there. I'd be nearly half inclined to take a chance in Newick 5 to 1. I just think coming in there with the race fitness, he ran a decent race in Punchestown. Look, it'll be a tricky race tactically, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I just thought Newick 5 to 1 adds a bit of spice to the race, and that race fitness edge might play in his favour as well. But Jerry Colomb definitely one to beat in that. But we'll go on to the next race we'll have a chat about then. The Bottle Green Ladies' Day Chase. It's a grade 2 over the 2 mile tree. And again, we're seeing another one of Gordon's big guns coming out here. Found a 50. Grade 1 novice chaser reappearing here for the first time this year. And no prices for this one, but I think on the tissue he's about 4 to 6. And Pinkerton, the Galway plate winner, is 3 to 1. He's a little bit quirky, I suppose, found a 50, Paddy, but he's a dual grade 1 winner over fences, so it's fairly hard to oppose him, I'd say, is it?
It is. Look, he's done it twice at the highest level, and it's really hard to oppose him. Again, he's like you said, he can be a little bit tricky, but he has a lot of ability, you know. No Meats horse, Pinkerton, that you mentioned, that's been a great story for the owners. I think they bought him off Facebook, and what a
I
journey
didn't hear
they.
that one actually.
Yeah, no, he is getting a stone off him, but he deserves to be getting a stone off him, to be honest. Yeah, look, the rest of them, I don't think they're up to that sort of standard. They shouldn't be getting anywhere near them. I suppose Pinkerton 11 stone has a chance, but found a 50 with a clear round of jumping, it should be winning. It's a bit boring, but it should be winning. If he really comes to riding the race, I'd ride him all day.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was trying to make a case for Pinkerton as well. He's getting the stone, but still, I don't think he's a proper Grade 1 horse. Found a 50 is. I think he should be able to give him the weight, really, considering what he did last year. So yeah, we'll we'll leave that one at that. I think found a 50, definitely the one to beat in there. What else sounds there on the Saturday? I was going to give a mention to this maiden hurdle. Look, just Romeo Coolio, I suppose, one of Gordon's big bumper horses from last year. We're seeing a few of them out on Friday as well, but I just thought it was interesting the way they split these. Romeo Coolio is going for the 2 mile maiden hurdle on the Saturday rather than the longer race on the Friday, where he's got 2 others in there. Look, I suppose he was a good bumper horse last year, but maybe people are starting to pick holes in that champion bumper form now. I think the first and second in Cheltenham both came out and disappointed behind Redemption Day in Punchestown. Romeo Coolio, what you make of him, Paddy? Is he one? Do you think he can go on over hurdles this year?
I think he can, Emma. He's got the pedigree to go on and jump. Keith Tara, Sawyer really liked. I'm sure he's not with us anymore, is he? I think he passed away.
I think he passed away.
Yeah, I don't think he was that fancied in Cheltenham actually, and ran a smashing race. I know the horses that came back and ran in Punchestown. I think the champion bumper last year was a grueler. It was a really tough test, and I would have left a mark on them going to Punchestown. As I said, if they had so many good Irish bumper horses, they just brought them all back and ran them in Punchestown. But I think any other year you might have just went, oh, that's going to leave a mark. But look, Gordon's going for the championship as well as, maybe you might not have it, but you still want your winners in Punchestown, and no, he's a horse that I would really like. Good bunch of owners owned him, nice pedigree, going the right way. I'm surprised he is going the 2 mile and not vice versa on the Friday. He has a pedigree to stay further. A horse I do like, and I would be very, very positive on him.
Yeah, that's kind of what surprised me, is that I thought this fella would be one of the more likely ones to step up and trip. But Gordon always raved about him last year. Then he said he was one of the best in the yard. So yeah, it's probably not the strongest maiden hurdle. It's not too much to strongly oppose him with. So yeah, you'd imagine Romeo Coolio can get his hurdling career off to a good start. I'm just going to give one that I fancy in the handicaps then on the Saturday, before we have a quick chat about something else. The 135 was a handicap hurdle. And I just thought one who really stuck out in there was Carla Conti for Gordon again, and Karen Miller on board. And look, it's a competitive race. Like, I think 18 runners, you can make a case for plenty of them, but she definitely sticks out. I think an opening mark of 130 is really, really fair. Like, she was a Grade 2 winning juvenile hurdler last year. And like, looking back to her form, like, she was second to Nürburgring, I think. She was only getting £3 off him that day at a Grade 3 on Hatton's Grace weekend. Obviously, Nürburgring went on to win the Galway hurdle, rated 150 over hurdles now. Third that day, Eagles Fang as well. He was beaten out of sight, but he won a Punchestown handicap off 124 as well at the end of the year. Look, she went on then. I think it was she won her Grade 2 at Christmas. She beat Cargase. Nürburgring was behind her that day. And then she went to the DRF. She was fifth that day. She was only beaten about 2 or 3 lengths, but we actually haven't seen her since then. So I'm not sure that she have an issue, but I just thought it was interesting that Gordon threw her into a handicap here. Marker 130 looks really, really fair considering her form as a juvenile hurdle. Like, she was nearly a Grade 1 horse over hurdles last year as a juvenile. Karen Miller on board as well.
That's why she got thrown in here, I'd say.
Yeah.
It was a good spot. I remember seeing her winning. She's a lovely sort of jumper too. She's one of them really game sort of mares, race horses. And when you get them like that, they can be very good. Yeah, she looks well in, doesn't she? 130.
Yeah, I think they had her in that the mayor's hurdle as well on the Friday, or one of the hurdles on the Friday. But they opted for this obviously, I'd say, after they saw that mark. And Carl Miller as well, he's brilliant, isn't he? Like, you probably won't get too many £7 claimers in this kind of handicap, like, would you?
Yeah, Carl's done a great job, in a short space of time. He's a big chap. He's not small, so he has to do a bit of work on his riding a finish, and I suppose maybe his weight as well. But for the few opportunities he's got, geez, he's taken them. He's had Christmas winners on TV, and yeah, he's a really nice guy too.
Yeah, a real strong rider. And I thought he tidied up an awful lot last year. You kind of mentioning that, like, he rode some big winners for Gordon. But yeah, I just thought she was really well in. 130 looks a pretty lenient mark for her considering her form. But we'll wrap up down Royal there. We might have a little chat about the Breeders' Cup. But Paddy, I'll ask you for a nap before we forget what we were talking about. I'm going to go with Carla Conti anyway. I just think she looks really well in there.
Okay, well, sure, we might double her up with Firefox.
Carla Conti, Firefox for the double. So, and before I let you go, I have to ask you, I suppose we're talking about the jumps, but the big one, the Saturday night City of Troy Breeders' Cup Classic, will you be watching?
Oh, I will. Yeah. Geez, I love it. Love the Breeders' Cup, and obviously the Melbourne Cup coming up as well. Plenty of drama around both of them with Ylang out and their horse in Australia. I think Ylang was their own call, really. She might have spiked the temperature or something. But City of Troy, look, he's that horse that we're all kind of just praying and hoping that we see him explode like we know he can. If you go back to the Galileos, the Sea the Stars, geez, they turned up every time, and they just blew you away like in arcs and stuff like that. Whereas this fella, just in your mind, the one flop, you're kind of still thinking of that. And even though he's winning his races, you weren't overly impressed. And then sure, what he went and done in the Derby was very special, to pull that hard and a loose horse in front of him and still quicking away. All signs are saying that he should go on the dirt. He's justified. I don't get what people are saying, watching him canter around the other day for a hack, that he's bouncing on the dirt. No matter if he was going around heavy ground, he was that fresh, he was going to bounce around, A lot of people just reading too much into that. He'll have to break smarter than he has been. I know Aidan has always said he's a horse that breaks so smart that they're trying to drop him in, but I don't know. I feel like I've heard every excuse in the book, about this horse. So Aidan keeps, saying he could be the best he's ever had. So we have to trust him on that, what he shows him at home. He's a cracking high cruising speed. Whether it's fast enough for America, I don't know. Time will tell. I really hope he does go out and smash them and gives us, something to really cheer about and justifies everyone's hype in him. But I wouldn't be backing him.
Yeah, he's short enough, but yeah, it's kind of the excitement around it more than the betting aspect, I suppose. And I must ask you as well, you kind of mentioned the Australian thing. You were, you rode in Australia a fair bit yourself. What do you make about these Melbourne Cup rules? Aidan wasn't happy with the Jan Bruegel.
Sure, how could you be happy? I'd say, Emma, the price to get him there, and obviously them boys don't worry too much about money, but I think one of Kieran Maher's horses failed this morning as well. I don't know. They've put a good spin on this, that it's horse welfare, and any time you mention horse welfare, everyone just backs off and doesn't want to rock the boat or say anything about it. I think it's overkill what they're doing, to be honest. They have a mobile phone, they have vets watching them, they have shadows on X-rays. I guarantee if you scanned every horse in the country, there's going to be a shadow somewhere. And especially 3-year-olds, upcoming horses. If they wanted to go that far with it, why not scan all the 2-year-olds before the Blue Diamond and see how many of them have sore shins and tiny little fractures in their shins? If they're that hard about horse welfare, why don't they do that with their 2-year-olds? Because it's not the Melbourne Cup, because they want to make a statement that Aidan O'Brien is not the king there, whereas he does seem to be the king in Ireland and England. he can pretty much do what he wants, not in any way against the rules or anything, but they have seemed to make it more about the vets than the actual race. And again, who are they pondering to? Who are they? You know, what's the problem with it? Is it's just gone too far for me. You know, a trot up. Aidan O'Brien does not run horses in races if he thinks they're going to break a leg or break down. These are valuable horses. If that horse goes and wins the Melbourne Cup, he's on the way up. He's probably, you know, a genuine Group 1 horse. Could potentially be a very good stallion. And Aidan's going to risk him because just to win a Melbourne Cup? No, he's not. If he's not right, he's not going to run him. Aidan probably has the best vets in the world in Coolmore. Everything else they have is the best in the world. I can't see why the vets wouldn't be the best. And yeah, I think there is a bit of an ego trip in it. And I think they get away with it for putting it out there as horse welfare.
Yeah, it's massively disappointing because he was favourite Ledger winner. And I just think it's mad how, you know, I saw Hong Kong Jockey Club tweeting they're going to welcome him with open arms in a few weeks' time to go there instead. So it just makes no sense. So yeah, just hope Willie can go down and stuff now with Puff and Oxford.
Like they pass all the tests here and they pass all the tests or whatever to get on the plane to get over, and then they're put in Werribee. Now I've ridden around Werribee over jumps. I've ridden around Werribee on the flat. And it's been closed down since because it wasn't fit for racing, basically. And I mean, shadows and this, that, and the other, that needs to be looked at. If you're spending that much money to get to Australia and you know you're going to be scrutinized that hard, why not spend money on a state-of-the-art quarantine? Because it's not. It's nowhere near standard for quarantine. And I know people who, you know, at the time you're not supposed to be in or out. There's people walking in and out there whenever they want. And we the horse for the guy I worked for out there, I won't say his name, but the horse was crippled, and he was trotting up. Now it's 8 years ago, so it's probably not as, you know, they're not as hard about it now or then as they were now, but it was still a trot up, and that horse was stiff as a board. Now he wasn't lame, but he was stiff, but he needed to be rolled out most mornings before he ran, and he was fine. But he passed. Do you know, he passed no problem. He was an Australian horse in his own bed, in his own box, doing his own routine and his own track, whereas Europeans are going to a bit of a kip in Werribee.
Yeah, it's those kind of stories that kind of makes you like, it's hard not to, I suppose, buy into the whole thing that they're treating the Europeans much more harshly. And yeah, it's a sickener because
the Australian media are kind of going with their side of it, saying, you know, you're just trying to puff your chest out, you get away with it everywhere else, and yeah. Well, if no European horses go there, that's going to be a stinking race in 3 or 4 years' time. It's just going to be a glorified handicap, like their Derby, or like the Cox Plate this year was. You know, the mare that won it got loose the Tuesday before and done 3 laps of the track, and she still smashed them. You know, so.
Yeah, that's the bad thing about it. Like, because, you know, if there was an overseas representation, like, is anyone outside of Australia going to watch the Melbourne Cup? Like, I'd have absolutely no interest in it if there was an European horse in it.
No, I don't think anyone would, because for all their Kieran Mars probably and Chris Waller are two that can really train stayers, but outside of that, no one wants a stayer. You know, they all just want their sprinters, and they've bred them to be quick horses. So what you'll end up with is horses that are failed over 6 furlongs, then they fail over 7, failed over a mile, and then they just chance them up to a Melbourne Cup trip. And sure, what sort of race is that? You know, I know the prize money is huge, but if you're bringing horses down there and it's costing you that much money, and then you get turned around, I'm sure, what's the point?
Yeah, it's a pity. It's a massive pity. I need to imagine Aidan won't be rushing back there anytime soon. But yeah, if Willie can stuff them now, they might bring in some Cheltenham stylers to stop him going down there as well.
Yeah,
but Paddy,
European had a good chance in it. You know, the horse that won the was the Caulfield Cup, or the Bendigo Cup, the English horse. I think he's second favourite for. He's a great chance. Willie's two have great chances, but it's a completely different sort of race than any other 2 mile race. they'll come out the gates, they'll fly for a furlong, and they will walk. Then it's a sprint, So it's not and Flemington, I suppose, is they're all worried about these injuries or whatever, but it's not a natural surface. It's resurfaced every year. It's drained to be fast ground all year round, and there's a patch where you go under the track to go to track work, and there's another patch where you go under for the parade ring and stuff like that. There has to be some sort of effect for horses galloping on that it's hollow ground underneath a road and then a layer of turf put on top of it. So, maybe they should look at their track rather than their scans.
I think we'll leave it there. Thanks very much for all that insight into the Australian side of racing as well as Downhill and the Breeders' Cup, Paddy. But I hope everyone enjoyed the show. Actually, meant to mention, we did a National Hunt Season preview. If anyone hasn't tuned into that yet, it's a well worth watching. Some great insight there from Paddy, Johnny Ward and Vincent Finnegan. It's on the YouTube channel as well. But hope you enjoyed the show and enjoy the racing over the weekend.